Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Well, I hope everybody is having a good weekend. Weird weather we had here today. We had actually a thunderstorm shower. We didn't get much rain, but boy, did we get the lightning. And it was weird. The temperature is really not that cold here right now. It's like in the upper 30s, low 40s. And I guess it took everybody by surprise. Nobody was thinking that we was going to get this kind of weather today. I mean, even with my Alexa app that I have, it didn't usually gives you a notification of some inclement weather on the way, and this time it didn't. So that tells you that even the weather service had no knowledge about the thunderstorm that we were supposed to what we've got today. So more crazy weather here for winter in Maine, huh? So anyway, today, as always happens here, Donald Trump there put his foot in his mouth again, which could be pretty damaging for him politically, especially with the upcoming election here. Let me tell you here what was said. This is a report from Huffington Post here by Sarah Bobolts, and it's entitled "Trump Says He Might Encourage Russia to Attack NATO Allies." Former President Trump delivered an alarming message to U.S. allies today, Saturday, where he outlined a scenario in which he would, quote unquote, encourage Russia to, quote, do whatever the hell they want, unquote, to other NATO members. Speaking to a crowd in Conway, South Carolina, Trump told a story that cast himself as a tough-talking negotiator. Quote, NATO was busted until I came along, unquote, he began. Quote, I said, everybody's going to pay. They said, well, if we don't pay, are you still going to protect us? I said, absolutely not. They couldn't believe the answer, unquote. He rehashed the story a few moments later. Quote, one of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, you didn't pay, you're delinquent. He said, yes, let's say that happened. No, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want, unquote, Trump said. Quote, you gotta pay your bills, unquote, he added. The audience cheered loudly for the former president, who was notorious for failing to pay his own bills on the campaign trail and in his past business endeavors. It is not clear whether the scenario Trump described has actually happened. Trump frequently takes credit for supposedly pressuring other NATO members into contributing more funding during the course of his first term, but it's a flawed claim. As the Washington Post and other fact-checkers have noted, NATO member nations pledged to boost their funding over a period of 10 years at a 2014 summit held to address Russian aggression. Direct NATO funding has been increasing since then, although not at the pace needed to reach the goal set in 2014. The alliance, however, is primarily strengthened through indirect funding, which is funding that member nations spend on their own individual militaries that could be called upon to assist the group if needed. NATO's Article 5 states that member nations must treat an attack on one as an attack on all. as of last year, Trump would not have the power as president to unilaterally withdraw the United States from NATO. While he has made various comments about potentially doing so in the past, Congress passed legislation in December barring any president from withdrawing the U.S. from the organization without congressional cooperation. The move came amid ongoing efforts by a far-right faction of Republicans to cut back or stop U.S. funding to Ukraine. The Eastern European nation, which is seeking NATO membership, has been fending off a Russian takeover for nearly 2 years. On Saturday, Trump suggested the $95 billion aid package to Ukraine and Israel, currently making its way through the Senate, could or should instead make the form of a loan. He successfully pressured Republicans to kill a larger aid package that would also address U.S. immigration earlier this month. So, yeah, he's out there shooting his mouth off again. I got to ask people here, especially if some of you are maggots here that watch this. If Trump was president, let's just say hypothetically he was president today, and he went to this thing in South Carolina and made that remark, do you think NATO would actually take action on that? Basically, what I'm saying is, we got Trump committing espionage or whatever the hell insurrection in our own government by inciting a riot on January the 6th. Okay, his mouth telling people to do this in the mouths of people that follow him, spreading the word, basically. Okay, insurrection. And here's Trump again, with his own mouth, trying to incite an attack on NATO, or at least giving Putin the illusion that, hey, if you attack NATO, you won't have to worry about the United States. We're just going to sit back and let it happen. Don't you think that's kind of like giving Putin a little bit more of a oh, okay, good, that's great. If we can get him as president, in the United States, we can go after NATO and everything else. Don't you think that would encourage, the other side to, perhaps prepare for an attack on NATO because they figured now the United States is not going to be involved, and knowing that, would NATO then say to the United States, you're no longer part of NATO, okay? If you're going to incite a criminal nation to attack us, okay, or give them the green light to go ahead and do so, you're not our ally. You're not part of NATO. What would you think should happen? Okay? Now, you gotta, and then when you ask yourself that question, ask yourself, if Biden had said those same fucking words, would you be at him right now at his throat, like you were yesterday, because he was found, not guilty of stealing private information, or, the stuff there that you say that he did, that Trump also did, okay? And there was nothing there. There was no there to even impeach him on, okay? And you guys were pissed off about that. Would you be as equally pissed off right now if Biden today had come out in South Carolina and said those same fucking words, okay? What would you, like I said, I'm asking you to question yourself, your sanity, your own goddamn view of the political world. I'm asking you, as a fucking MAGA, okay? Is it okay for a Republican to go out and incite a war against our own country, okay, or not? And if it is, yes or no, can the same be done by a Democrat, and that, be the same answer that you have? Because if you can't say yes or no to either of those scenarios, then you're a fucking bigot. Or not a bigot, but you're a partisan. You're not even an American. Okay, if you think it's okay for one side to do it and not the other, you're not even an American, because right and wrong does not hinge on what political party you stand on. It's either right or it's wrong. And you've been bitching for years about how the double standard of our justice system is, how black people get everything and white people don't. You know what I'm saying? You guys have been out there bitching about that for years. And yet here you are right now as a group of people pushing forward a double standard, okay, because of a political affiliation. That it's okay for your side to do all these things, but if the other side was doing it, it's not okay. Okay? And you've got no logical or any fact or anything that's even remotely sane to even substantiate that stance. Okay? There's nothing there. You can't even defend that. You can't. Because it from the outsider looking in, it's so two-sided, two-faced, it doesn't even make any rationality. Okay? You guys are playing this depending on where you stand politically. Like I said, if you cannot ask yourself the same question, how you feel about something right now, when you're talking about, you know, Biden, you know, and all this stuff, and you're talking about Trump and all his stuff, if you cannot equate the same responsibility, the same outcome to both sides, regardless of who they are politically, if you cannot, you know, stand in the middle and say, they're both wrong doing this, they're both wrong doing that, okay? But it's okay for him. You know what I'm saying? Ask yourself. Because I'm telling you right now, a lot of you people don't bother to ask yourself because you're just too damn afraid to. You don't even want to know that you're on you're actually double standardizing yourself, okay? You people are out there living in this fucking bubble, and you want to pretend it's not a bubble, but you know it is, okay? But you just don't want to fucking admit it, okay? And right now, while you got King Magneto there himself running for president, okay, and he's out there saying these things, and you people are clapping and applauding and cheering about it when he said it, I guarantee you, and I know this as a fact, I would stake everything that I own, that if Joe Biden had stood up there and said the exact same thing, word for fucking word, you guys would have been throwing eggs and bananas and oranges and eggs. You know what I'm saying? You guys would have hurled everything. Your fucking lungs you'd have threw at him for saying that. But because Trump said it, it's okay. Okay? You want him to win. You want him to be the president so he can go out and take a shit in the middle of Fifth Avenue, and that's going to be like ice cream to you people because you won't care. Because it's Donald Trump. All right? That's why. But you people, like I said, you're so involved in the duplicity, the very thing that you say you hate, the reason why you even became a teabagger movement years ago, because of that fact, that it's so political. You hate the politics, you hate the establishment. Well, you people are playing the establishment's game and you don't even know it. The establishment's game is to split the country because a house divided is a much easier thing to conquer. And you guys are playing that game, hook, line, and sinker. And you guys are out there doing this right now. And because of that, you're walking into a trap. You're walking the whole country into a trap, okay? Because you're not the only one that's going to take the fall. Everybody else who isn't trying to walk that track is going to take the fall too. And you're going to be to blame for that. But you won't admit it, and you won't even accept the responsibility of it because you think, oh, well, this can be undone. Some mistakes can't be undone, okay? They are everlasting. And so in this case, you people that are pulling the United States down this friggin' road here, your mistake is going to cost generations a lot, more than you even know. You won't even live long enough to see the damage what your actions today will cause if you get your way come November, okay? And even after that, even if Trump loses, okay, I know you people are going to get pissed again, just like you did before. You're going to get mad. You're going to look for another monkey in order to put your sign on that says I'm a MAGA or whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, you're going to find somebody else. Okay, it could be Ron DeSantis, it could be Greg Abbott, it could be anybody. I don't care. There's a lot of Trump replacements out there if Trump shouldn't win. Okay. The difference is these people would be smarter than Trump, okay? They may not make the same mistakes Trump is making because he can't control himself. He's got a mental dysfunction there. He can't stop himself, despite himself, you know. But you guys will turn around and you'll hit onto another donkey or an elephant, whatever, okay? You'll hitch to another elephant and, you know, you might succeed the next time around. You know, you may not get it this time around, but you might get it when the Democrats don't have Biden to run the next time. And they're more vulnerable to, say, somebody else that might run. And you guys will come up with this other clown, and the other clown will be smarter. He'll be more swift and more slick about, you know, what he says, and he'll tailor it so it sounds good. But underneath it all will be a whole different agenda. An agenda you guys think you'll know what is, but, you know, you obviously don't. You don't even know what Donald Trump's agenda is, okay? You people really think he's bought into your needs. But, you know, Trump is not in this for you people, okay? I'm sorry to say that, but he isn't. His only goal right now is to keep out of prison. And if he wins his presidency, he could win his freedom, okay? And once he's back in the White House, the hell with the nation. He don't even care about it, you know? He never cared about it the first time he was in. He won't care. He won't care about you. He won't care about what you believe in or what you want to see done. He don't care, you know? But like I said, this is where you are. And that's why I'm asking you people to question yourself. You know, find out, you know, just look at yourself in the fucking mirror and ask if Donald Trump, his words were spoken by Joe Biden, how would you feel then, okay? Or if the other way around, if Joe Biden had said something, Donald Trump had said it, would you still be supportive of Donald Trump? You know, I mean, if you can't ask yourself these questions and be honest with yourself, then, you know, you got bigger problems than being in politics, okay? You really shouldn't even be involved in politics if you can't be objective about your own views on things, okay? Because that's what democracy requires of all of us, is to put aside, you know, our political lines and get into the middle ground and see truth for truth and what's right and wrong, okay? That's what it asks of all of us. And not to be led by the nose by somebody claiming to be a leader. Think for yourself. I mean, because we are the government, right? We're the ones that put these people in power. So who better than us ourselves to wonder whether our government is doing the right thing or not? But if you want to put all your eggs in the basket of Donald Trump and just follow where he goes, well, then you're denying yourself a democracy. You really don't even need to vote because, in your view, people shouldn't vote. They should just put all their trust in one man and that he'll know everything, right? He's the orange Jesus, as some people call him now. But this is what you're doing. You're denying yourself your right as an American to run your own goddamn country. Stop doing that, because you see what's happening? You're turning our nation inside out, because it's not, that sort of thing isn't meant to function here in this country. You know, our democracy has to be a democracy. You can't allow an element inside our government that doesn't want to act or accept that and act as an aristocrat or some goddamn a king or a queen. You know, we can't allow that in our system. It doesn't work. The two don't mesh like oil and water, okay? So you have to accept a democracy if you live here. And that means you have a say. You also have a vote, okay? And you also have the ability to choose or not choose whom you want to represent you. And whether you like it or not, sometimes the choice you end up with is not the one you want, okay? But you still have the ability later on to change that, okay? Not through force, you know, or violence, but through the vote and making yourself heard, calling your representatives, calling people and, you know, involved in the thing to let them know how you feel. I mean, that's how it works, okay? And I'm sorry if all that sounds like it takes too fucking long, but this is the problem that we live in this country. You guys have allowed things to get so bad in America that it feels like there's never enough time, never enough hours in the day to get anything done. You've made it that way because you've been so partisan all this time, pushing the wrong people into the mix, with them bringing their own black bags and their own baggage into the thing to bring more problems. You guys weren't really paying very close attention to the people you listen to, okay? And when you weren't listening to them, you were listening to other people who really have even less to do with the system than you do, okay? And unfortunately, those people, they cannot be held to a higher standard because they set their standard, okay? The people like like Rush Limbaugh used to be. I mean, he set his own standard, which was lower than snake piss as far as I'm concerned. But that's where he was, in the political argument, okay? A lot of the things that he said really made no sense at all. And today we got, the Tucker Carlsons and the Sean Hannitys and Laura Ingrams and, you know what I'm saying, the Fox News people. We have all them now that we got to contend with. These people have an agenda. I mean, you hear it right in their voices. They're talking about things. I mean, they come down so hard on one side and they're so light on the other. Okay, a blind man, could see it. It's very disturbing when you have that level of partisanship going into the press. And the press is supposed to be for our information as people in our country that have to deal with running it, okay? We need to be fed the facts, not secondhand or commentaries. We need to be given facts, and so we can make up our own minds. Nobody has a right to disseminate fact and throw their little caveat of politics and, opinion into it, okay, unless we ask for it. And a lot of times we don't want to hear it, okay? What we just want is the facts. We want to make up our own minds. So anyway, what Trump said here today in South Carolina was abhorrent, okay? It really was abhorrent. And I hope that people understand that that's just another sign, another bit of evidence that will probably be used against him later to show he is an insurrectionist, okay? That he does not care about this country, that he does not care about other people that are allied to this country, that he's totally un-American, totally uninvolved in this country. His business is himself. His life, if he was president, should be about more than just himself, but unfortunately, it is himself no matter what. Even his family comes second or third to whatever the hell he's doing. And I'm sure Melania could probably attest to that if she was allowed to talk more than 2 seconds to anybody. All right, so let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
For 4 long years, Donald Trump disgraced America, laughing with mass-murdering dictators, Vladimir Putin's puppet.
The people of Crimea, from what I've heard, would rather be with Russia than where they were.
The world laughed at us.
Hezbollah is very smart. They're all very smart.
No more.
The people of this nation have spoken. At this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed.
Today, America once again leads the free world. A respected leader, steady, determined, who knows America is great because America is good.
We stand with Israel. Today, tomorrow, as we always have.
Under President Biden, our friends are stronger, our enemies weaker.
This is not about party or politics. It's about the security of the United States of America.
A strong economy at home, a respected America abroad. President Joe Biden, an American president.
Dear Republicans, how can Joe Biden take your guns away?
He's going to take your guns away, you know that, right? Biden.
Didn't Barack Obama take them away in 2008 and 2012?
Obama wants your guns. How is that anything but fear-mongering?
It is actually quite accurate.
There have been more guns sold since I've been president than just about any time in U.S. history.
Oh, right. It was just another Republican lie. It never happened. Donald Trump and the Republicans have been using this fake threat for decades. And while we're clearing up BS, Joe Biden doesn't want to defund the police.
I'm the only one who's talked about increasing police budgets.
Joe Biden isn't soft on border security. Joe Biden won't raise your taxes unless you make over $400,000.
I'm really rich.
And remember all those Hillary Clinton she's dying stories from 2016?
She can't make it 15 feet to her car. Give me a break.
More BS.
I do have the unique experience of having shared a debate stage 3 times with Donald Trump, and I know that he will do or say anything.
She's fine.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Everybody. All right. This story, oddly enough, came out in Business Insider, written by Lauren Edmonds. It was published today, Saturday the 10th, and it's entitled "Man Dies Mid-Flight After Breaking Out in Cold Sweats and Losing Liters of Blood, Scaring the Passengers." A 63-year-old man died during a Lufthansa flight this week after losing, quote-unquote, liters of blood in a scene that terrified passengers. The unidentified man boarded a Lufthansa flight from Bangkok to Munich with his wife on Thursday, according to Swiss-German outlet Blick. Witnesses Martin and Karen Misfelder told Blick that they sat in the row diagonally behind the male passenger and his wife. Karen Misfelder said the man looked unwell when he boarded the plane. Quote, he had cold sweats, unquote, and, quote, was breathing much too quickly, unquote, Karen Misfelder said in a translated quote. The man's wife said his breathing and appearance looked off because they rushed to catch the flight, but the symptoms worried the crew. Despite their initial hesitations, the crew did allow the man to remain on the flight. Karen Misfelder, a nursing specialist at the University Hospital in Switzerland, told Blick that her concerns for the man persisted. prompting her to tell a flight attendant that a doctor should examine the man. At this point, the plane's captain arrived and briefly spoke to the man. Quote, he then called for a doctor over the loudspeaker, and a young, around 30-year-old man from Poland with poor English looked at the German, unquote. Karen Misfelder said. Martin Misfelder said the doctor, however, did little to treat the man beyond checking his pulse and asking how he felt. Soon, the man's health drastically deteriorated. Quote, they then gave him a little chamomile tea, but he already spit blood into the bag that his wife held out to him, unquote, Martin Misfelder said. At one point, Martin Misfelder said blood gushed from the man's nose and mouth. He said the man lost liters of blood, some of which splattered onto the aircraft's walls. Quote, it was absolute horror. Everyone was screaming, unquote, Martin Misfelder told Blick. Flight attendants immediately jumped in and attempted to resuscitate the man, Blick reported. Quote, it was dead quiet on board, unquote, Karen Misfelder said. Data from Flight Traitor 24, an online air traffic tracker, showed that the flight departed from the Bangkok International Airport at 12:07 a.m. before diverting back amid the chaos. Karen Misfelder told Blick the man, now dead, was carried into the galley as the plane returned to the airport. A Lufthansa representative confirmed the death to Blick. Representatives for Lufthansa did not immediately respond to a request for comment from Business Insider. Last year, Lufthansa made headlines after a flight from Texas to Germany experienced severe turbulence that sent people and food flying into the air. One passenger told Business Insider she hit her head on the plane's ceiling. Quote, it felt like it hit the eye of a tornado, unquote, Rolanda Schmidt told BI. Quote, it would not stop. I thought we were going down, unquote. That flight made an emergency landing near Washington, D.C. So, okay, now the reason why I read this article here is because, you know, after having come out of a pandemic, okay, and I think you're probably already going to know where I'm going with this. The fact that they wouldn't turn this plane around when they noticed this guy wasn't feeling well, I mean, they should have done that. I think that would have been the best thing to do. Because, you know, after we've gone through this, well, how long was the pandemic? About, what, 2 years, 2.5 years? We've gone through that, and we see people, how sick they get with it. How do we know that that guy coming from Bangkok probably didn't pick up something while he was there, okay? And the reason I say not because, you know, I got anything against Bangkok or whatever. It's because a lot of times people travel to these other countries and they don't get shots. Now, like when I was in the military, you know, just to go to Germany, I had to get shots. Okay? And, you know, to me, I mean, it seems like, well, you would figure, you know, and one of the countries allied to the United States, you know, they should be all up to the same level of medicine and everything that the rest of these countries are, right? I mean, you could understand South Africa or parts of the Middle East or areas around China. I mean, you could probably understand, you know, in the tropical areas to get shots, okay? My father had to get shots when he went to Vietnam. He had to get a whole bunch of those, okay? Because there's a lot of stuff out there you could get sick and die from if you're not native to that country. And believe it or not, people that come to the United States, whether, you know, it's no slur on our country, but they got to get shots because they're not inoculated against certain things that we got floating around in our air. And so, you know, it works that way. So, being how this guy took a flight from Bangkok to Germany, okay, and he was really sick when he got there. I mean, the lady said, well, we were ran to get to the plane, you know, and that's why he's out of breath and everything. Well, while he's sitting there and they notice he's got, you know, cold sweats and he's, you know, he's breathing hard and stuff like that. I mean, you know, that to me would raise some flags. Okay, maybe saying, look, why don't we hold the launch of the plane here till we can make sure this guy's okay? You know, because everybody else is here and they're not doing this, but he's the only one in this plane that's acting this way. So either he's already sick with something, or, you know, maybe he's just like they said, he's just trying to catch his breath or something, you know. But, you know, maybe just hold off on the launch here until we make sure that he, you know, he's calms down or whatever. But instead, they went ahead and they took the plane off. Well, okay, let's just say for argument's sake here that you did have something. Okay, well, he's been in that plane long enough now to pass on whatever the hell he had to somebody else, and they could get sick. This is how these things start. And when you land in Germany, all of a sudden the passengers leave the plane, and now they're spreading it around wherever the hell they go. In a situation where we've hopefully learned something from, not to get so careless about things like that look suspicious. These people knew something wasn't right, okay, about this guy when he got there, but they instead went ahead and flew anyway. But they ended up having to turn around and go back when the situation got bad. Now, if they hadn't left, they wouldn't have had to fly back. They could have just had him escort him off the plane and have an ambulance or somebody waiting for him. Okay, now, they don't say in this article what it was that he had, okay? Only in the comments section from the people in the peanut gallery come up with the idea that he might have had some kind of a rupture in a heart, or a blood vessel or some damn thing, for that to be coming out of his orifices and but that's just people from after reading this article making up what they think happened. But this article here doesn't say what the guy had happened to him. He could have been sick with something, or it could have been just he had a problem with his heart, and something ruptured and it got into his lung, and the blood got in his lung, and he just coughed it up, and that's been known to happen. But we don't know that, you see, and neither do the people on that airplane know that. And if there was something that this guy had, they got it now. Okay. That's what I'm trying to get at. We can't be careless anymore. We know how these pandemics spread, and they spread fast. Okay, one person has it, a week from now, millions have it. Okay, it's that quick. And when you have somebody on an airplane and you look at that person and they don't look healthy, they don't look like they're in good shape, and they're sweating and they're coughing and they got blood trickling, hey, red alert, as they say in Star Trek, red alert. Okay, this guy needs to be taken off the plane. In fact, they might have to bring somebody on the plane in a hazmat suit or something just to escort him off, okay? Because so they probably would have everybody just stay the hell away from him. But, it's the crew's already panicking. Everybody's already screaming because the minute they saw blood coming out of them, there are people already upset. And that was at that point that they decided to turn the plane around. Probably at that point it was too late anyway. The guy died right there. Okay, and all they had left was to pick up a corpse, to bring to the hospital. And so, like I said, when we travel and stuff, and we don't get shots, and we don't do these things that sanity requires of us, if we're going into countries that we haven't been in before, it's always wise to be prepared for that. You might take the opportunity to do the right thing, but somebody traveling with you on the same flight or whatnot, they might not do that, and you're also protecting yourself from them as well. I'm not saying the protection is going to be guaranteed, but it will protect you against any known things that could cause illness where you're going. So seeing how he was the only one that had this happen to him, and I'm sure other people from Bangkok were on that flight. Maybe some of them weren't from Bangkok. Maybe some of them, because they were heading to Germany, maybe a lot of those people were from Germany too. Seeing how he was the only one that seemed to get sick, maybe there wasn't a viral thing involved at all. Okay, I don't know. I'm just saying because he was the only one that seemed sick, and and his wife said that he was just exhausted from trying to hurry up and make the flight. So, and maybe because his heart was bad, that's probably the running and all that was probably what did it, was caused the whatever. But I just thought that, in this day and age, we can't just assume when somebody's feeling that way that it's just, it's okay, it'll go away and just take off. The airplane services are going to have to be more responsible than that, because they carry around whatever people have in them to other places. Okay, people on that flight might have a cold or a virus, they don't even realize they have it yet. And when they get to wherever they're going, they've already spread it to half a dozen or 100 people, you know. And we in the planes, you know, because nobody demands people to have, you know, let me see your vaccination card, please. You know, nobody demands that these people have shots or anything like that. You know, maybe it's time we ought to start making some kind of standard, depending on where you're going. If you're flying inside the United States, that's okay. If you're flying outside of the United States, okay, or you're coming from outside the United States, there's going to have to be standards saying, okay, have you been vaccinated for this, and okay, and if there's a no in any of those columns, you have to get these shots before you can go. We can't just let you go there without these shots. This is not just for your protection, but for the protection of everybody else where you're going. We have to make these demands. I mean, I realize people don't like that. They don't want to hear about that. But, you know, people that went in the military don't like to get these shots either. But at the same time, we also know in the back of our mind there's a logic to it. We don't want to get deathly sick and come home in a box, okay? And sometimes that shot might be the only thing standing between you and that box, okay? Now, if you don't take it, if you don't take the shot, well, then you're going to be, you know, facing like, well, should we keep this guy in the service? Because if we have to send him where he's needed and he doesn't want to go because he don't want the shot, then we can't keep him here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it does open up its own can of worms, but at the same time, we're not living in a world that's healthy. we see examples of that every day. You know, like right here, you know, with the weather being as funny as it is. And, you know, it's these things will bring about new waves of things that we're going to have to be prepared against. You know, as like when the polar ice caps and all that stuff, you know, melting or whatever, bringing old water into the new water and stuff. I mean, we don't know what that carries, if there's anything in there that's going to be something that we're adapted to or not. You know, we're just opening ourselves up to some new things. And so we have to live with the understanding that the earth is not clean. You know, we're sharing this planet with animals, other people, and, you know, the various plants and stuff that's out there. We all live in sort of a bubble where, you know, what we got in here inside the bubble is what we live with. Outside there's nothing. Okay, literally. So to pretend that, oh well, we don't need to vaccinate, we can adapt to, well, that only happens after many deaths. Okay, and that's where you call selective evolution, where nature decides who gets to evolve from that. All those who cannot adapt to this virus will die, and those who can will live on, okay? But that's always a very small percentage. Why should everybody else die just so, you know, a handful can go on? That's not fair. If we can adapt to it, okay, and avoid that, then we should. And like I said, it's one of those things that we have to understand about today's world. And we're seeing, like I said, the pandemic was another example rather, of what it is now to be in this world. It's 9 billion people on this planet. It's a lot of people, and like I said, nature will correct for that in its own way. The pandemic was one of those ways. Whenever there's an imbalance in nature compensates. Just like all that shit we've been putting in the air for all these decades, nature is compensating against that by giving us these weird weather patterns and stuff like that. It's way of cleansing itself. That means it would take a very long time for the Earth to accomplish that, and it would cost a lot of us our lives and everything. But it will eventually survive what we've done to it, you know. And like I said, this is just a way of us understanding the world we live in, and that we have to have a, you know, what do they call, spidey sense. Whenever we see something that doesn't look right, don't ignore it, act on it, okay? We have to do that. We've got to be more responsible for the sake of people around us that depend on us to set the example for others to follow. And I'm hoping that, you know, whatever happened to this guy wasn't a virus. if it was, we'll probably hear about it later. But if not, then we was lucky. But that plane, Lufthansa, whatever the hell they call it, that airline company needs to review its policy on how to respond to things like that. Should they allow the flight to go on, or should they have just parked and disembarked that fellow and his wife and just say, look, we can't leave you on here. You got to be checked out medically to sign, see what the hell's wrong with you. Okay. And you'll just have to catch a later flight. And it should be noted in the log of the plane itself that somebody was sick aboard. And in case somebody else gets sick that was on that flight, they'll know where they got it from, or who the person they got it from. So we have to keep a track record on things like this, and we got to be more responsible. I would suggest that, how they have these air guards now on planes everywhere, maybe they should have a qualified doctor on flights now, just for this sort of thing. And maybe have the plane equipped with some extra medical things or something that they can use, because obviously this person here didn't really have much at his around to be able to do anything to help this guy, and it probably would have helped some if he could have been able to do a little bit more. But I think they ought to consider that, as well as an air guard, they should have a trained doctor on board who can, at least be sort of an emergency examiner. I mean, like you have on a battlefield when you're, in the military or something, they have somebody there that can help at least stabilize somebody until they get to the ground, something, anything, and maybe make an area in the plane that's kind of quarantined a little bit, like a separate room with a bed in it or something to lay the person down so he's not around the rest of the passengers, that he can actually take him in there and treat him, in some kind of, enclosed way. Unfortunately, we're going to have to start thinking about that and stop allowing these airplane companies to turn these planes into flying cow transports, because we got these people, they're going a lot of times taking long flights coming from places that you don't know if they got vaccinated for before they got there. I mean, you have to think about that. And people don't want to get sick and die because they were on a flight with somebody who was sick. And people really get pissed at that when they find they can't really sue anybody because it was nobody claims liability for that, or or actually accepts responsibility for that if a passenger comes on board and they're sick. It's like, oh, well, it's not my fault he was sick when he got on here. It's just, So anyway, that's all for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week coming up. So please subscribe, comment, and treat each other nice. Keep your ears open for COVID news, and like I said, just be kind to one another. And I know the political tensions in this country are escalating, and they were going to. This is the year we're going to have an election. But I would suggest that any conversations that drift into politics, you immediately cut, because nobody wants to talk politics. Nobody likes to talk religion. And those two subjects there will get you in trouble, no matter which side you're on. So I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.